we can't let a talking point stop us from doing what's important for kids.
There's a lot of things always going on behind the scenes.
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory has been the topic of much debate lately, but it doesn't have a place in Nebraska's classrooms.
I'm Adam Gillette with Accuracy in Media, and today's investigation into public education takes us to Nebraska, where once again, even though it's an incredibly conservative Republican state, public school administrators bragged to us that even if it was illegal to teach the principles associated with critical race theory, they would continue doing so.
They'll be able to learn about privilege and systemic racism and things like that. Are they taught?
So, good question. So I would say actually what's really cool about, we had, now it's been 3 years ago, we had our ELA, our social studies, our counselors and psychs. So we do SEL curriculum, which I think is now the most recent thing to come under attack.
Does the SEL provide an opportunity to talk about not only equity, but also like privilege and systemic racism?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Social and emotional learning is not the same thing as critical race theory. However, increasingly, public school administrators use social and emotional learning as a Trojan horse to advance the principles associated with critical race theory.
We don't shy away that we teach SEL, social emotional learning, and a lot of the ultra-right will say that's code for CRT, and it is not. And matter of fact, we just had a presentation a couple months ago for some state senators and folks to just say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to continue to do this because it's good for kids. And whether the Democratic Party or Republican Party or France or Germany or Switzerland agrees or disagrees, we know what's best for West Side, and we're going to do it.
We have such a strong leader, Dr. Lucas. So he was around 2020, around George Floyd, he created the We Side movement.
Okay. No.
That at all. So it's really talking about equity.
Good.
And how the best part of West Side is that we have we in our name and that we do this together. And how so it's essentially belonging for all.
Okay.
And so early on when that got kicked off, there was a bit of some people that were trying to attach CRT to We Side, that like that's how we're sneaking it in. And I mean, he just has been so clear about like this is about making sure that every child in our district feels welcomed and included.
These administrative radicals are the masters at changing terminology to stay one step ahead of the parents. In one district, administrators told us that instead of calling it the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, they were going to be changing the name to the Department of Belonging. Other administrators said that they stopped calling it social and emotional learning and started calling it belonging as well. So anytime we hear somebody use the term belonging, it makes us think that there might be deception happening.
When you talk to people about belonging for all, they don't push back, because what are you going to argue against belonging?
That's, yeah, we were saying, like, our friends who are educators have realized even the crazies, they hate the label because Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson told them they hate label, but the content itself doesn't bother them.
Right.
So, like, one of our friends is like, instead of calling it privilege, we call it circumstance.
Yeah.
Nobody complains because they're
Right.
fine with the content.
Right, yeah, so it's interesting.
Do you guys use Newsella? Do you guys have that
We
here?
do have that.
Nice.
Yep.
We've discussed Newsella previously. This classroom curriculum service is in use nationwide. However, Newsella is a direct partner of the Southern Poverty Law Center, radical revisionist historian Howard Zinn, and even the New York Times 1619 Project. If your child came home with an article from the 1619 Project, you would be outraged. So instead, these administrators send them home with those exact same articles, only instead of saying New York Times on top, it says Newsella.
There's a strand every time that we are adopting new curriculum and materials that really look at the diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective to make sure that we are looking at that. So I can tell you our 8th grade right now, they did a pilot first quarter and a pilot second quarter of 2 sets of materials. They are in 8th grade, they're in Change Agents is the unit. And it talks about just all of the people in our world that have been change agents for specifically areas of race. We have some units that's like, we're piloting them and we're gonna see, and there has not been a single parent that has, because there is an opt-out process.
Sure.
If you don't want your child.
The units are like a little more progressive.
Yeah, they are.
Good.
They're training your children to become progressive change agents. Is that the primary focus of public education? And listen to the training that the teachers get.
She partners a lot with Inclusive Communities. They do our staff development series
Okay.
with our teachers through Inclusive Communities. So I
Nice.
think this next, like last one was about microaggressions and finding where you have a privilege and
Good.
having perspective. It's a lot about just it's a lot of dialogue. So our staff is having those conversations.
Right.
And trying to spot where those are.
Once again, simply banning critical race theory won't stop these administrators. They just change the labels and trick the parents.
But you said one of the other districts is like relabeling it because it's got a bad rap.
Yeah, so I think because they know it's important and they know that our children need it, and
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I
They're
did,
getting
and
more
that's what I
pushback.
said, and that's why they're rebranding, because they're like, we can't let a talking point stop us from doing what's important for kids. And I
Yes.
think that's what educators have to do, is know that what we're doing is good for kids.
The kids come before satisfying the political whims of parents.
Yeah.
And here's the superintendent of this district bragging about how powerful he and his allies and the teachers' unions are. It's as if the parents are hopeless against them.
Legislators, they don't mess with Westside too much. And when we go down, and we'll have to play a lot of defense this session, but we're all pretty connected.
What are they going to try?
They'll try and divert public education money to school choice movements. They'll try and do away with SEL, and we will.
But you guys have unions, and
Yeah, we will eviscerate all of those.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of things always going on behind the scenes, and some of the most powerful people in Nebraska live in our district.
Oh,
that have
really?
that have nothing to do with education, and so we can employ or deploy them to help with our message.
so I was going to say, in a crazy MAGA state, how do you eviscerate that stuff? Because on a state level, you guys are
You get
those guys.
Yeah, you get Clark Lordson, who runs First National Bank, who sends his kids to our school, and all the people that run the chamber who either did or have kids at Westside, and we give them the talking points that brings everybody back towards moderate. People forgot what moderate was.
Yes.
And so we just slowly bring them back, and then we have enough pool. We're the only state that has a unicam. So just one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so, we have 49. Is that right? 49 state senators, and so we always have enough to filibuster whatever's going to be harmful to public education.
Simply passing laws micromanaging educators will not solve this problem, because these educators will always stay one step ahead of the parents. The only solution is Arizona-style school choice, where the money follows the child. If you want that for your community, click on the link below this video and use our action alert that sends one message that goes to all the elected officials based on your zip code. Again, I'm Adam Gillette with Accuracy in Media.